You're standing in the bread aisle at Loblaws staring at rows of plastic-wrapped loaves, and you grab the same brand you always do. Feels safe, right? Familiar. But what if I told you that loaf you just tossed in your cart contains an ingredient banned in Europe, used in yoga mats and linked to respiratory issues? That bread. The one with the smiling wheat stalks on the package. Welcome to the dark side of Canadian bread. And trust me, by the time we're done here, you're going to look at that grocery aisle very differently. Let's start with the big one, Wonder Bread. I know, it's a Canadian institution. Your mom bought it. Your grandma bought it. Heck, you probably made 1,000 peanut butter sandwiches on Wonder Bread as a kid. But here's the thing about Wonder Bread. It's less bread and more science experiment. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry textbook. Sodium stearolactylate. And my personal favorite, isodecarbonamide. Isodecarbonamide. Try saying that 3 times fast. Actually, don't bother, because you shouldn't be eating it even once. This chemical is used as a dough conditioner, which sounds innocent enough until you realize it's also used to make yoga mats and shoe soles. The European Union banned it in food back in 2005. Australia won't touch it. But in Canada, totally fine. Enjoy your sandwich. The reason companies like Wonder Bread use isodecarbonamide is simple. It makes dough easier to work with and helps bread stay fluffy longer. But when this stuff is baked, it breaks down into semicarbazide, which has been linked to cancer in animal studies. Now, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency says the levels are safe. But here's my question. If it's so safe, why did Europe ban it? Why are we the test subjects? And it's not just isodecarbonamide. Wonder Bread contains high fructose corn syrup, even though it's marketed as regular bread, not cake. There are at least 5 different preservatives designed to keep that loaf shelf stable for weeks. Weeks. Real bread goes stale in days. If your bread lasts longer than your relationship status, something's wrong. Moving right along. Number 2 on our list. Dempster's White Bread. Now Dempster's has this wholesome Canadian brand image. Been around since 1855. Makes you think of rolling wheat fields and honest bakers. Right. Wrong. Modern Dempster's is owned by Grupo Bimbo, a massive Mexican conglomerate that's the largest baking company on the planet. And they're playing the same game as everyone else. Dempster's white bread contains something called Dayton, which stands for diacetyl tartaric acid esters of monoglycerides. I'll wait while you write that down. Actually, don't. Just know that it's an emulsifier that helps ingredients blend together and extends shelf life. Sounds useful. But Dayton has been shown in studies to potentially weaken the intestinal barrier, which can contribute to inflammation and digestive issues. Fun times. The bigger issue with Dempster's isn't just one ingredient. It's the philosophy. This bread has been stripped of almost everything nutritious, then sprayed with synthetic vitamins so they can call it enriched. It's like taking an orange, removing all the vitamin C, fiber, and nutrients, then adding back a vitamin C tablet and calling it an orange. That's not how nutrition works. Your body recognizes whole foods. It knows what to do with real wheat, real fiber, real nutrients. But when you feed it reconstituted chemical approximations, your gut just shrugs. Number 3. BOM White Bread. BOM is another Canadian brand that trades heavily on nostalgia and local pride. But dig into the ingredients, and you'll find the same usual suspects. High fructose corn syrup. Check. Soybean oil. Check. Calcium propionate. Check. And here's where things get interesting. Or disturbing. Depends on your perspective. Soybean oil shows up in almost every commercial bread in Canada, and most people don't think twice about it. But over 90% of soy grown in North America is genetically modified. Now, I'm not here to debate GMOs. That's a whole other video. But what you should know is that GMO soy is engineered to withstand heavy applications of glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. That means residues of glyphosate can end up in the soybean oil that ends up in your bread. Glyphosate has been classified as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization. It's been linked to gut microbiome disruption, which affects everything from your immune system to your mental health. And it's in your bread, just sitting there. Between the peanut butter and the jam. Let's keep this train moving. Number 4. McGavin's Honey Wheat. This one's tricky because it sounds healthy. Honey, wheat, must be good for you, right? Marketing departments love this trick. Slap honey and wheat on the label, maybe add a picture of a grain field, and suddenly people think they're making a nutritious choice. But here's the reality. McGavin's honey wheat contains more sugar than honey. Actual honey is pretty far down the ingredient list. And that wheat? It's refined white flour, with a tiny bit of whole wheat flour mixed in for color. The fiber content is laughable. You'd get more fiber from eating the napkin. What really gets me about McGavin's is the sodium content. One serving, which is 2 slices, contains about 300 milligrams of sodium. That's 13% of your daily recommended intake. From bread. Before you've added deli meat, cheese, mustard, pickles, or anything else. Canadians already consume way too much sodium. We're talking an average of 3,400 milligrams per day, when the recommended limit is 2,300. High sodium intake is directly linked to hypertension, heart disease, and stroke. And your innocent honey wheat sandwich is contributing. Number 5. Gaudois white bread. Popular in Quebec. Gaudois has that classic soft white bread texture that people love. But that texture comes at a cost. To get bread that's soft and fluffy, manufacturers have to use dough conditioners and stabilizers. We're back to our friends azodicarbonamide and Dayton, plus monoglycerides, diglycerides, and a whole family of polysyllabic chemicals that sound like rejected transformer names. Here's what bugs me about Gaudois. It markets itself as an affordable family option. And it is affordable. A loaf costs what, $2? Maybe $3? But affordable doesn't mean valuable. You're saving money up front, and potentially spending it later on health issues. That's not a deal. That's a trap. The average Canadian family goes through multiple loaves of bread per week. If you're feeding your kids Gaudois every day, you're giving them a steady diet of refined flour, any added sugars, and chemical preservatives, not fortified air. Number 6. Country Harvest White. This brand tries to position itself as a healthier choice. The packaging has earthy tones, images of wheat, all that good stuff. But don't be fooled. Country Harvest White is just as processed as everything else we've talked about. It contains modified corn starch, which is used as a thickener and stabilizer. It contains soy lecithin, an emulsifier derived from GMO soybeans. And it contains that same laundry list of preservatives we keep seeing. Modified cornstarch is particularly sneaky. It's made by treating cornstarch with chemicals or enzymes to change its properties. The process can involve acids, bases, or oxidizing agents. The end result is a starch that behaves differently in food products. But your digestive system doesn't quite know what to do with it. Modified starches have been linked to blood sugar spikes and digestive discomfort in some people. Not everyone, but enough that it's worth paying attention to. Country Harvest also loves to use the word whole grain on select products, but their white bread is anything but whole. It's the same refined flour base as Wonder Bread, just with better marketing. Don't let the branding trick you. Always read the ingredient list. If enriched wheat flour is the first ingredient, you're not getting whole grains. You're getting processed flour, with vitamins sprayed on. Number 7. Bon matin white bread. Another Quebec favorite. Bon matin translates to good morning. Ironic, because eating this bread is not a great way to start your day. It has all the standard issues we've covered. Refined flour, high fructose corn syrup, preservatives. Cellulose is plant fiber, which sounds healthy until you learn it's often made from wood pulp. Yes, wood pulp. The same stuff used to make paper. It's added to bread as a cheap filler and to prevent caking. Technically, it's safe to eat. Your body can't digest it. D'Italiano white bread. This brand markets itself as premium, artisan style. The packaging is fancier, the price is a bit higher, and people assume that means it's better quality. But guess what? Same ingredients, same problems. D'Italiano white bread contains enriched flour, sugar, soybean oil, and the full roster of preservatives and conditioners. What D'Italiano does well is charge you more for the same product. It's the bread equivalent of putting racing stripes on a minivan and calling it a sports car. The texture might be slightly different. The crust might have a bit more structure. But nutritionally, you're getting the same processed product as the budget brands. You're just paying extra for the illusion of quality. This is a pattern you'll see across the industry. premium branding, artisan language, fancy packaging. But the ingredient list tells the real story. And the real story is that most commercial bread in Canada is made the same way, in the same massive facilities, using the same cost-cutting methods. The only thing that changes is the marketing budget. Stone Mill white bread, sold at Freshco and other discount grocers. Stone Mill positions itself as a value brand. And it is. Value in the worst sense of the word. We're talking bottom-of-the-barrel refined flour, high fructose corn syrup, hydrogenated oils, and enough preservatives to survive a nuclear winter. Hydrogenated oils are particularly nasty. These are oils that have been chemically altered to make them solid at room temperature and extend shelf life. The process creates trans fats which are universally recognized as harmful. Trans fats raise bad cholesterol, lower good cholesterol, and increase your risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Canada has regulations limiting trans fats in food, but hydrogenated oils can still be used in small amounts. Small amounts add up when you're eating bread every single day. Stone Mill also uses artificial flavors to make up for the lack of real ingredients. When you strip out all the natural wheat flavor through processing, you have to add something back. So they use chemicals that mimic flavor. Your taste buds might be fooled. Your body is not. Number 10. Great Value White Bread. Walmart's house brand. Lowest common denominator food. It's designed to be as cheap as possible while still technically qualifying as bread. The ingredient list is a horror show. Sugar, soybean oil, salt, yeast, calcium propionate, monoglycerides, soy lecithin, azo dicarbonamide. The gang's all here. What makes Great Value particularly problematic is, who's buying it? It's marketed to budget-conscious families. People who are trying to stretch every dollar. And I get that. Feeding a family is expensive. But when you buy the cheapest possible bread, you're not saving money, you're deferring costs. The health consequences of eating highly processed foods show up later. Higher medical bills, more sick days, chronic conditions that require ongoing treatment. That's not a bargain. That's a time bomb. Number 11. No-name white bread. The yellow packaging. The ultra-minimalist branding. No Name has built an entire identity around being cheap and no frills. And the bread lives up to that promise. It's cheap. It's no frills. It's also terrible for you. Same refined flour. Same preservatives. Same lack of nutritional value. The only difference is they're not even pretending it's anything special. No Name white bread is what you buy when you've given up. When you don't care what you're eating as long as it's edible and inexpensive. And I'm not judging anyone for that. Life is hard. Groceries are expensive, but you deserve better than giving up. Your body deserves real food, not this. And finally, number 12. PC White Bread, President's Choice. Loblaw's premium house brand. You'd think PC would be better than Great Value or No Name. You'd be wrong. PC White Bread has the exact same issues as every other brand on this list. Enriched flour, added sugars, soybean oil, preservatives. The works. The only difference is the marketing. PC tries to seem upscale. They use words like crafted and quality. But the ingredient list doesn't lie. What's particularly frustrating about PC is that Loblaws also sells genuinely good bread. They have bakery sections with real sourdough whole grain loaves, artisan options. But those cost more and have a shorter shelf life. So people default to the packaged white bread because it's convenient and cheap. And Loblaws is happy to sell it to them because the profit margins are fantastic. So what have we learned here? Every single one of these brands is selling you the same basic product. Refined flour stripped of nutrients, then enriched with synthetic vitamins, loaded with sugar, oil, and preservatives. Designed for shelf life, not human life. The branding changes, the price changes, but the fundamentals stay the same. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what am I supposed to eat? I need bread. And you're right. Bread has been a staple food for thousands of years. But the bread our ancestors ate looked nothing like this stuff. Real bread is flour, water, salt, and yeast. Maybe a bit of oil or honey. That's it. 4 or 5 ingredients. Not 40. Look for bread from actual bakeries. Places that bake fresh daily. The ingredient list should be short and recognizable. The bread should go stale within a few days. That's normal. That's how bread works. If your bread can sit on the counter for 2 weeks without molding, that's not a feature. That's a warning sign. Check out farmers markets. Buy from local bakers who actually care about what they're making. Or here's a wild idea. Make your own bread. I know that sounds intimidating, but bread is one of the easiest things to bake. Flour, water, salt, yeast. Mix it. Let it rise. Bake it. Done. You'll never go back to Wonder Bread. The bread aisle is a microcosm of everything wrong with modern food. We've industrialized nutrition right out of our diet. We've prioritized convenience and profit over health. And we've normalized eating chemicals that have no business being in food. But you don't have to participate. You have a choice every time you shop. Make it count. Your body will thank you. Thanks for sticking with me through all 12 of these. If this video changed how you think about bread, hit that like button. And if you want more deep dives into what's really in your food, subscribe. I've got plenty more to say. Now get out there and buy some real bread.